Hello, and welcome to this demo of Okahu Dev Tools to debug and test AWS agentic applications. Hi, I'm Prasad, co-founder and CTO of Okahu AI. So for this demo today, I'm using a simple agentic application, a travel agent that does mock hotel and flight booking. So let's look at my development environment. So this is my IDE, Amazon Hero, and this is my agent code. I'm using the AWS strands as the agentic framework to put this together. And I'm using a model that's hosted in AWS Bedrock. So this agent is basically a collection of prompts and tools. So this is my agent system prompt that explains that it's supposed to do the travel booking. And it has a list of the tools, a flight tool and a hotel tool. And those are simple mock tools that has a description and execute an action, which is simply to return a successful flight booking or hotel booking. So let's run this agent and see it in action first. So I'm going to run it in my IDE. So I'm going to give it an input like book a flight from San Francisco to Seattle. The agent, when you invoke, or called as an agentic turn, is basically the agentic framework helps you coordinate with the LLM. It's going to repeatedly ask the LLM about next step. And the LLM could say, either invoke a tool or hand off to another agent, or your work is done and simply send a response back. So now my agent is finished and has given me the correct answer. One of the challenge here is that when the agent has not behaved correctly, I want to trace those steps, like what questions it asked to LLM, what response it got, so that I can figure out where things go wrong. Especially given the nature of the non-deterministic LLM responses, it becomes very important for me to have an ability to trace and then view these traces and understand what's going on. And that's where these Okahu dev tools are super useful. So first of all, I have this Okahu's AI debugging agent. It's a IDE extension that I have already installed here. It helps me visualize the telemetry. Secondly, it helps me very easily instrument my application with one click. We use the open source project called Monocle. It's a Python and TypeScript library that helps you generate the traces from different agentic applications with little to no instrumentation. So let's see this in action. So I'm going to use this IDE extension command to enable Monocle. And as you can see, this has added a quick one API call. And instead of console, let's put our traces to a file. Now I'm going to rerun this agent again. I'm going to pass the same input. So wait for the response. Okay. Now I want to go and see what happened in this agent. So I go to the .monocle folder, and it has created a trace file which has the steps and details of that agent turn. Now this is of course a raw JSON, and instead of reading through that, I'm going to use the Okahu extension to visualize this telemetry. So here it shows me in a very nice user-friendly way what happened inside that agent turn. So this is the turn. For the turn, I gave an input to book the flight and I got the response. And I can see the steps within that turn. So when my agent started, it first called the LLM and asked what to do. So the LLM said basically make a tool call. So it called that tool to book the flight, got the response, asked the LLM again, and this time LLM says the work is done, end of turn. So send the response back, which is where that response went back to the end user. So this gives me a very clear logical picture of what my agent is doing under the cover. So if there is a problem, I can walk these steps and look at where things might have gone wrong. The second part of this is to test the agent. So I have a certain input and I expect a certain behavior. I want to validate whether that behavior is correct every time or not, because if it doesn't, then for me, the question is whether I want to tweak my prompts further or change my glue code or perhaps try a different model to make sure that my agent continues to behave the way it's supposed to be. So the Monocle provides you an agentic framework, a test framework, which has these Fluent style APIs that operates on top of the telemetry. So you run your application and run the test assertion to validate whether the agent behaved correctly as you expected. So I'm going to run this test again using the native test interface in Kiro. So this is my travel test. So let's run it. So this is running the standard PyTest interface. And this test has failed. If I look at the test, what it's doing is it's saying book a flight, and I expect the flight tool to be called. And since the flight is from San Jose to Seattle, I expect the input to contain both these terms. But just to illustrate the point, I've also added a check that says book a hotel tool. And since there's no hotel booking, this condition should have failed my test, which is what we verified here. And if I go back again to my visualizer, the test that I run, that telemetry is also available. So now I can go look at, that test failed because this particular tool was not called. And I can look at this, the logical picture of my agent and realize that yes, the book hotel tool was not called, and that's why the test failed. So this is a quick overview of how you can use the Okahu dev tools to debug and test your agentic framework. So please give it a try. Check out portal.okahu.co to use Okahu. Check out this Okahu extension. You can directly download it from the marketplace. And the project Monocle, which is an open source project that you can use to automatically trace your agentic applications like AWS Strands and Poto. Thank you very much.